Good evening and welcome to the Modise Network. Tonight, former DA federal leader Tony Leon joins the network as we unpack the role of opposition parties in a democracy such as ours. Later on, UDM leader Bantu Holomisa is on the couch as we look at the state of politics and the situation at SARS and the Public Investment Corporation. I'm Tim Modise, and thank you for joining me this evening. We're about a year away from our next general election, and we are seeing factional battles breaking out in the ANC and the Democratic Alliance. At the same time, the country is facing a variety of challenges, including corruption, low economic growth, troubled race relations, and of course, the land question. But clearly, the focus of the politicians is elsewhere, with these internal battles going on. I'm joined now from our Cape Town studio by former DA leader Tony Leon, who has worked with all ANC presidents in opposition and helped draft the constitution. He's also served as an ambassador under President Jacob Zuma, and he joins us. Tony, good evening to you and welcome, Mr. Leon.
Good evening, Tim. Great to be with you again.
And the party that you led previously seems to be in disarray. The fight against its own mayor in Cape Town, where you are, is continuing, and the courts have ruled in favor of Patricia de Lille. What did you make of that ruling?
Well, since we've got very bad weather in the Western Cape, although at least it's started to rain, you could say the party's caught in a perfect storm. You know, I think from the DA's point of view, it reminds me of something I just came across recently, which President Lyndon Johnson said very mournfully to a colleague of his in 1965 about the straight line, as this has proven. So I think that's the one thing. Look, you can talk about the antecedent question, Tim.
Yeah.
And, you know, strange enough, I've dealt with Patricia. I have to say that overwhelmingly the voters from both camps voted for the DA. And that's what you want at the end of the day. I'm not sure that Patricia de Lille's accession to the DA brought her too many extra votes, but they did it, and now they've got the consequences of that. And vice versa for her as well, of course.
Sure. Here is the thing, then, that the impression that's been created, as it has also been suggested by herself and those who support her, that the DA is not pro-black people, specifically the colored community there, and that the organization is going to pay a price as a result of this protracted legal battle between the party and its mayor in Cape Town. What's your view about that?
Well, I think that's probably inaccurate, and I'm not projecting what might happen. I'm talking about what has happened in the past, particularly in the Western Cape. I mean, you have to know that the majority of voters here, as you point out in your question, are coloured, and they concentrated in the metro of Cape Town, particularly in Mitchell's Plain. Since 1994, that community has voted overwhelmingly for parties who historically were led by white people. First F.W. de Klerk, then myself, and then Helen Ziller, and latterly Musi Maimane. But the actual allegiance of that community has been to parties, whether they've been led by white people, Afrikaans people, or black people, because of that community's interests, as they perceive them, are best served outside the ANC in a party like the DA. The second thing is, when Patricia de Lille stood alone with her independent Democrats, in the 2004 general election, the only time she stood nationally, she only got 1.7% of the vote. And in the Western Cape, or in Cape Town, when she stood on an ANC-aligned platform as the ID and voted actually against the DA in the mayoral election that year, she only got 10% of the total Cape Town vote. So I'm not sure that she has as long a coattail as some people suggest. And I'm not sure, incidentally, and this is just my view, although I have a long association with Patricia on both sides of the aisle, I'm not sure that actually her credibility can withstand her going to another party. So, for example, you know, when I met her first at CODESA, as you said, right in the Constitution, she was in the PAC. Then she left the PAC, formed her own party, the ID. Then she joined the DA. Now, 3 political lives is quite significant. And a fourth one might be one too many, I think.
All right, we'll be looking at the DA fortunes going forward, as well as the constitution of the country that you have referred to, and you were a participant at drafting. And Tony Leon is my guest, the former leader of the DA. And you also can take part in our conversation on Twitter, #the Modise Network.